Welcome, everybody, to What Would It Cost? Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Mr. Sam McDadi. And I don't even know how to intro this guy just because he has so many moving parts and he's such an inspiration and he's such a rock star entrepreneur all across the board and an OG in the real estate space. So thank you for coming on today, Sam.
It's his pleasure to be here.
Yes.
All right.
Sam McDadi. Here we are, baby.
We're here.
So
finally,
where do we even start? Where do we even start with Sammy?
The journey's long.
Yeah. And you know what? There's so many moving parts within what you got going on, not only for your personal brand, not only for your business, the leadership role you play, the way you're not only an inspiration for your team and a leader for your team, but the industry as a whole. And you really lead with a solid energy that's felt, even through the screen, you can feel it. Here we are belly to belly in person and it's there, but through the screen, you could just tell you got some amazing intentions and all the time. How do you stay on all the time?
If you find your passion, then it's easy. And I think that's the key piece in life, right? And I think my journey initially wasn't real estate. I didn't study for that. I was on a tennis ride years ago. I was playing tennis competitively, got a tennis scholarship, then finished an MBA, worked in corporate finance, and I did that for 2 years, felt really stifled, didn't enjoy that. I thought, I don't want to do this for 40 years. I got to find something I really like. And back then, transitioning to real estate didn't seem very popular. You had an MBA, but I thought, I don't care what people think. I want to find my happiness, right? And when I started doing real estate, I said, hey, I love this. This is great. I just hope I can make a living at this so I can stay the course. And luckily, it worked out.
Right. Awesome. Very cool. And it's being said a lot now too, especially I see a lot of clips on the YouTubes and the social media. You find what it is you love to do and you'll never work another day in your life, right?
I would never stop working. Why would I stop?
Right.
I might slow down a little bit in the years ahead, but if you still have passion, why would you stop doing it?
Right. And love what you've done with the personal brand and the marketing side of things. It's and not only being active on the socials and the content you're putting out, but like the really unique affiliations and relationships and even partnerships, if you want to call it, that you have with, the MLSE, right? And how you show up and you haven't missed a Raptors game for a few years now. You just filled us in.
Well, it's interesting. The Raptors, I remember when I was sitting with Nab, who's a dear friend, a super fan, and we were watching a 3-on-3 game. And at that time, DeMar had got traded and he had these tickets. He goes, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these. I said, Nav, if they're available, I'll take those tickets. And I thought I'd go to a game here and there. Then I was going and enjoying it so much. I said, you know what, Sammy, I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to all these games. But it's been so much fun. And, it's interesting because I'm at the games and there's always little breaks, intermissions, half. So I can still get caught up with all my emails and text messages. But it's just been really fun to have that escape. And honestly, I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I do. And the Raptors, it's a great organization. I've got to know a lot of the players and just class acts across the board. So I'm really happy with that affiliation.
Very cool. Yeah. And you can see you hail them up on the court. They give you dabs. You shake.
Yeah. We've got a pretty good little cool thing there, right? So I don't talk about it too much, but
no, you're humble.
We've got a good relationship and they're great guys. I've got a lot of love and respect for those guys as well too. So.
Yeah. And obviously that's kind of transitioned into the business side of things because now they got, that trust. They see you, they meet you, they know what you're doing in the space. And
I've also got connected with the MLSE head brass folks. And so they've, put me in touch with a lot of the players. So it's been a nice organic relationship that's grown over the years as well. So.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. And talk about how you're that fearless leader that leads with love and how, you keep that team so motivated. I've talked to your teammates outside of rooms where you haven't been in and on calls, and they love you, man. They have nothing but amazing things to say.
Oh, that's nice to hear. Listen, I love them too. And I think I always want to lead by example, and I don't just want to talk and not deliver. So I'm in the trenches, probably working harder than anybody, and I want to continue doing that to show, hey, listen, and when we're having our weekly meetings, it's not just a theoretical discussion, it's real life practical discussions, which I think is really important. But we've built it's almost like a family, a bond that's really nice with our group. So everybody really loves each other and they forge really nice relationships. So it's really nice to see that merge. And it's different than most real estate brokerages. Everybody who works with Sam McDadi Real Estate Inc. is part of the team. So if you belong to RE/MAX or LePatriots or great organizations, you're pretty much fending for yourself. You might be on a team, but it's a little different kind of opportunity.
Right. And that independence kind of allows you to create your own culture and community within, and you could tell the way you've curated that is different from what's out there.
Yeah, I just, from the minute I decided to build a team, and it was built organically. It wasn't like, I think a lot of times people just want to build a team for the sake of having a team. And for me, I don't think that's the right strategy. I think it's when you feel like I just can't do it on my own anymore. I need to add different pieces, and that's the right time to do it. So when I started building the team 20 years ago, it was based on necessity. I no longer could do it myself, and I wanted to provide the same quality service. So we started adding pieces. And really, truth be told, when I tell a lot of realtors today is that I probably should have hired a personal assistant administrator years before I did, because I was doing everything initially. I was, if I was funny, let's say I was going to send you a deal, I was kind of doing all the qualification before I sent it to you. I was doing GDS, TDS, and I was matching it all up, and I'd send it to you kind of completed, and, all the ads, I was doing the ad writing, and so at some point I was probably going to burn out, right? So I love it, and I'm energetic, and I work out, and I eat well, and I'm healthy, but, 30 years down the road, is it sustainable? So, now I've got 5 personal administrators, so anything that I don't think I should be touching, I give it to them. So it frees me up to focus on what I should be doing, which is really, meeting with clients, being in front of people. And that's where my strengths are today.
Right. Yeah, nice. Scaling that business, keeping everyone in their own lanes and embracing their strengths and allowing them to do what they're good at so you can continue to rock in your lane.
And if you find the right people, which takes time sometimes, then you can, you just free it up, give them the reins to run as they want.
Right. Yeah. And not have it that you're clipping their wings and really showing them that they can't go to the beat of their own drum, which sometimes is discouraging.
I don't micromanage. I like people. If I made the decision to bring you on, I believe in you, and I'm going to let you deliver unless you show me otherwise. So I think if you micromanage, people don't like that. It means you don't really give them, the respect and freedom they might deserve. So for me, that's not my makeup, right?
Man.
It's your job. Do it and perform and prove to me you're the person I thought you should be.
Yeah, very cool. And I know you're a super humble guy, and you don't like to brag and boast and blow smoke up your ass about a lot of things, and you do an awesome job at that. But you have a finance background. You have a serious understanding for numbers. You've scaled the portfolio, and I've talked to you about numbers. I know Mikey does, and you know your shit, man, when it comes to just the financing piece too. So tell me a little bit more about how that's really helped you on the real estate side, and almost how you have that, you're very well-rounded in the space overall.
So when we talked about earlier, when I finished my MBA, I was especially in finance, so I thought I was pretty well versed in numbers and all the above, right? So, and that's where I thought my pathway would be corporate finance. And so when I got into real estate, it's not that you're splitting the atom with numbers, et cetera, but I think having the ability to really navigate and give good advice and good counsel. And I never forgot, and this is something I learned 25, 20, 30 years ago. After finishing my MBA, I had a really good friend of mine. His name was Dave, and he was working for a fee-based financial firm called Acorn. And all their clients are high net worth people, including people like Arthur Blanco and Home Depot and all the above. So we were driving to go back to a game, watch an old game, the Gamecocks, ironically, which is South Carolina. That's where I did my MBA. And we're driving, and he goes, "Sammy, how are you doing these days?" I said, "Dave, I'm doing pretty good. I'm finding my way. I'm making, I'm finding my stride." And he goes, "Let me ask you one question. If you couldn't work for 6 months, how would you be?" And I said, "Yeah, not that good." He goes, "Sam, you got to start thinking about building residual income. That's the name of the game. And once we tell all our clients that, hey, figure out what you need to live on a monthly basis and then reverse engineer. Find a way to get that beat, give mortgages, buy properties, And then as soon as you get there, then you're working not out of necessity, but out of pleasure. And it's a much different discussion." And I said, then the light bulb went on. And I didn't have too much money back then, but I came home and I had 25, 30,000. I gave a mortgage out and I started buying properties. And honestly, within 3 to 5 years, I reached my goal, right? Okay. But then my needle moved because my lifestyle changed, and so where I wanted to be then changed, right? But it made me start thinking this is how life should be, kind of delayed gratification. I don't want to spend till I can afford to spend, and I got the money coming in residually, then I can do what I want, right? And most people miss the boat. They want it today, at the expense of building a good base for their future, right? And I think that's a big mistake. So if I can counsel people, which I do oftentimes, about, hey, if you want to have long-term wealth, then you got to do it properly. And Rome wasn't built in a day. So build it on a solid footing, start investing in assets that are going to appreciate, get a residual income. And in due time, you'll be in a place where you're doing it because you just want to do it and you enjoy it, not because you have to. And I think that's the beauty of what we do today.
Yeah, that's awesome. So well said too, right? Just the delivery. You make it sound like it's easy.
Not easy for sure. It takes time, but you have to know that. Listen, if someone goes, I want to retire tomorrow. Well, it's not tomorrow. I mean, our success was 25, 30 years, so it's always work in progress, but people need to know, And I think the problem today is a lot of people aren't ready to pay the price for success. Because it comes at a price, with a price, right? So you got to be ready to pay that price and pay your dues. And most people want it, but aren't ready to pay the price. And so, perfect example, we had GSP come to our office a few weeks ago, who I think is a legend, George Sam McDadi. So he came and talked to us, and he came to my house. We broke bread and played a little table tennis, all the above. But I said to him, George, tell our team, because I want our team to be empowered.
Yeah.
I said, tell us about your suffering. He goes, you have to be ready to suffer. I mean, anything you do, and I tell that to our team on a continuous basis, go suffer.
Yeah.
That's how and I'll even draw one analogy. So, I've got now I've got what I call the McDadi spa in my basement, and I put a red light bed and also put a hyperbaric chamber as well as a cold plunge. And I'm not really good with cold, right?
Yeah.
So the first day I went in for 5 seconds. I said, I'm getting out of here. This is too cold, right? But in my mind, I said, it's mind over matter, Sam. I started watching GSP videos who I had even greater respect after meeting him and getting to know him better. And he just goes right in, right? I said, if he could do it, I've got to do this, right? So I was sharing with my teammates because we've got a group chat, and I went from 1 minute, 2 minutes. In 2 weeks, I was at 10 minutes. So from 5 seconds to 10 minutes. And so it's just breathing, but it's mind over matter. It's mental. So life is mental, right? So I think that's what but it's not comfortable. It's not enjoyable, but you just have to beat it, right? So once you make up that mind, hey, I'm doing this, I'm not losing to this, that's it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I came from the cold tubs this morning.
Oh, amazing.
Elemental and Vaughan.
What temperature?
3-4 times.
What temperature?
3-4.
Well, that's exactly, that's good. And how long?
2 minutes.
So it's okay.
And I'm consistent with it.
I did.
And sauna, cold
Good,
tubs.
yeah. Infrared or dry sauna?
Dry sauna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What temperature?
194.
That's good. Good. Oh, you know the exact same. Good for you. That's good. That's good. Awesome.
Just blow the tunes and just bring
that's good.
energy.
So I find the heat very easy. I can be in the sauna all day, no problem, right? The cold suffer, right? So, and I did 10 minutes, not because, at a certain point it's diminishing returns, right? But 10 minutes was just to say I can do 10 minutes, right? Now I'm just going to 3 to 5 minutes where you get the optimal result or benefit from it, right?
So it's from 3 to 5.
3 to 5 minutes is your sweet spot.
Okay.
Yeah, beyond that 10 minutes, it's not probably the smartest thing, right? It's just more, it's to do every day 10 minutes. You might get a little too cold. Yeah, and for the whole day I was shivering. So it's kind of, it was just, I had to beat it, right? But then realizing that, 3 to 5 minutes is your sweet spot where you get the optimal benefit from a health perspective. So
yeah, a lot of guys getting into it. Tony Robbins starts his day the same way that you do.
Right, his podcast. Yeah, he's incredible too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, listen, cold red light too, which I'm doing now 20 minutes a day is very. Now that's easy. You go to bed and you just comes like a suntan, but it's getting a lot of therapeutic benefit for your mitochondria to your ATP. But that's easy to do. It's not like cold plunges. A little bit difficult, right? Which it tests you a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It keeps you fired.
That's good you're doing that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Try to do 3-4 times a week, but it's good for just the benefits, man. The list doesn't end, right?
Well, they say 11 minutes a week is your sweet spot too.
11 minutes.
11 minutes a week.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
And you keep in amazing shape, where you look super young.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
And it's inspiring to see that not only are you operating at this level, but you look the way that you do.
Yeah.
And what does that consist of, right?
Well, listen, I'm a big believer of health, and I think health is wealth, and without health, you have nothing, right? Yeah. So to me, I put that above everything else, right? So I've got a personal chef, and I do intermittent fasting. I only eat in 6 to 8 hour windows. So I don't eat till 12. My first meal is at 12, and I'll typically stop at 6, right? So and that's every day, like that's nonstop. And I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have sugar, I don't have carbs. So my life, and when I do my blood work, which I do every 4 months, it's always really good. And when I do blood work every 4 months, it's also to see if I add variables, how will that affect my blood work? So if I'm adding one piece, okay, I'm more kind of pescatarian today, but if I want to try red meat for 4 months, what's my blood work going to do after 4 months? So if I can measure that I know, hey, it actually works for me, so I can stay the course. Or maybe my lipid numbers are too high, so my triglycerides are too high with red meat, so it doesn't work. So I think that's so important, and people don't realize that health is everything, right? And when you have good health, you have energy, you feel invigorated, you can perform very well, and I think that's really important. And honestly, with my team members half my age, and I can outperform them in most sports we play. I beat them at everything. It's I'm very competitive too, right? Not only to lose, right? So, but I want to lead by example, right? So,
yeah, absolutely love that, man. That was a lot of information and accurate stats, data, and that very, very cool to take in. No, and what's next? What's next? Where to from here, man? You got so much going on, and you're rocking on it, everything, but it's just
so. Yeah. We've got 7 offices now, so we've grown a lot here. It's interesting because we had that dialogue before coming on air, and we're also thinking about going to Florida as well, and because got a place in Boca, which I just love, South Florida. And
get out there.
yeah, we got to get there so we can collaborate again,
Plug
right?
you
So
into the ecosystem.
yeah, for sure.
Whatever's ours is yours. I'd love to connect whatever dot I can for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I think, that's part of, like the mid, long-term plans as well. So we can spend some months there. And I think the market there is poised to really kind of grow. And honestly, when I first bought my place in Florida, I couldn't believe how undervalued the properties were. I think now with COVID, because Florida didn't really acknowledge COVID, so, New Yorkers were going there, Californians are going there, and prices really skyrocketed. But I think there's still so much upward potential there because it's a great place to be. I think great place to do business. So that's an option for us. But, we're going to continue to grow our brand here, maybe development space as well. So all things real estate. I think, I want to stay in that lane because that's what I love from a vocation perspective. And, and of course, continue to, mentor our teammates, because I think my business is so interesting for me because every day is different, and that's what I thrive on. I don't want the same day-to-day experience, right? So every day, I might be mentoring my team. I might be doing something like this day, which I really love as well. And I might be having a tough day with clients, and we got to figure out a problem. Deal is not going the right way, and you got to step in and make it right. And so all of the above makes it really fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, and just to go back on that Florida piece, man, you guys would absolute rock out there. You know that, right? It's you. And what is it that continues to inspire and motivate you on a day-to-day basis when you're having a bad day or when you're going through a real tough time? How do you pull out of that rut? What are some tools that...
Well, it's interesting. We talk about this a lot, even with our group, and every day you're going to have a thought that could be potentially negative, right? Every day. We're human beings, right? You got to stop yourself real quick. You can't let yourself spiral down, right? So, because it depends, whether glass is half full or empty. And for me, for the most part, I think you talk to most people, I'm pretty positive by nature, right? But there's times I can catch myself thinking negatively, and I stop myself real quick. I say, Sam, listen, life, you have so much to be grateful for. So, okay, this deal didn't work out. This guy or this gal wasn't loyal to, and we really pride ourselves in loyalty, and sometimes people aren't loyal, and that's just the journey we're on. But then you take a step back and say, you have so much to be grateful for, Sam, and you did all the right things. So if they chose not to be loyal, you can't change that, for example. So let's just kind of, keep moving on and be grateful for what we have. But if we make mistakes, we have to learn from those mistakes. So if I realize, hey, that was kind of on me and this outcome could have been different because I didn't take the right steps or actions, then I've got to correct that. So learn from that experience, right? But we just know it's a short journey, and why be in a bad negative space? It's not worth it, right? So, and you can all get there. You just have to catch yourself quickly and just don't because once you dig yourself into a deep enough hole, it's harder to get out, right? But if you catch it here, you can get right back and keep moving forward. But if you're here, getting back gets a little tougher, right? So for me, it's just mental mindset and toughness, right? And resiliency, which, for me probably comes a little bit easier because of maybe my athletic endeavors and training and going through all the things I went through. I viewed stress as a pleasure and a privilege, right? Not like, oh my God, it's terrible. It's actually, hey, if your heart's beating fast, that's a good thing because you're having something to do that's going to excite you, and regardless of the outcome, you give it your best. I think that's how we view life.
So. That's awesome. Very cool. Very, very cool. And God knows there's probably a lot of challenges and problems and situations that on a day-to-day.
Every day. This is life,
the fact
right?
That you continue to keep that vibration, that's cool. It's inspiring. Thank you for those words. That was awesome. Because I know with myself, right? Like it's, especially now as the team's growing, there are those constant challenges, right? And just because everyone sees things from their angle on a different perspective, and you always have to put yourself in someone else's shoes and say, okay, accountability is huge. How could I have shown up and been better? How can I have done something different? And what am I not seeing that they're seeing? Let me get on that level, right?
I think it's really important. And I always, subscribe to the theory, you've got 2 ears, 1 mouth, using that proportion. Be a really good listener, right? So even with clients, if something goes wrong, my first question is, what's it going to take to make you happy?
Yeah.
Rather than just, hear yourself talk, listen to them talk and understand where they're coming from. And usually you can find, a common ground to find solution, right? Or a resolution, right? But if you're just going to listen to yourself, and you don't even know where they're coming from, what their position is. So I think, just people should learn to just be good listeners, which for the most part is a dying art too, by the way. I mean, people aren't listening enough, right? And I think that's really important. So,
yeah, very cool. There's always that happy medium, right?
Yeah.
You just got to put in that effort to find. For sure. Right? But love that. Yeah, very cool. And tell me a funny story in real estate, Sammy. Your funniest
story.
Yeah.
Or
just in general. Just in general.
Yeah, there's some stories I could probably share, but I probably wouldn't put on there. So we had a lot of, over the years, we had a lot of interesting stories. Or it's been,
Yeah.
You know, you think I've been at this now 35 years, which I can't believe it's been that long. Time's gone so quick. And I think, you know, along the way, we've had some really interesting, you know, stories. And you listen, I think that, you know, you see the good, bad, and ugly after 35 years. You see a bit of everything, right? But, and I'd say for the most part, you know, it's interesting when you're dealing with real estate, you're dealing with people's biggest financial asset. And, you know, for the most part, it's a good experience because they're buying together, a newlywed couple, or they're moving up, or, you know, moving down, downsizing. But there's times, unfortunately, because of, you know, marital statuses changes, then it's not as pleasant. And you've got to deal sometimes with, you know, difficult situations when people are breaking up, or, you know, they have to sell because the market turned on them because rates went up 5% and they can't afford the house. So, you know, sometimes you're dealing with also some counseling, which is really a big part of our business. Because once again, going back to this, to the listing piece, if a lot of times we're giving good advice, good counsel, and a lot of times really it's not, we might tell them it's not the right time to sell today. It's not the right time to transact. And they really appreciate that, because a lot of realtors, unfortunately, might just say, oh yeah, do it now. And I think when they know you're just coming from a good place and just good intentions, it really helps strengthen that relationship, that I think is really important. Because at the end of the day, your business, my business, it's a relationship business. And if you do a good job, the referral business grows exponentially. And I think that's what the name of the game for us, right? And if you know, sell somebody, but you're not ethical, well, that's where it stops there. That's the last deal. That's the last transaction. And really, I can trace back 30 plus years ago where I did a transaction with one person, and that's led to maybe 60, 70, 80 transactions over the course of their life with their friends and their family. So think about that one client. If I didn't treat well, I'd have lost that whole pipeline, right? So it's a really important lesson for realtors and for anybody in business for that matter, because you can take me once, no problem. I'll remember that. That's it for us. Our relationship is over, and I'll just chalk it up to experience. I'm not going to dwell on it, but then you've lost me and my potential sphere of influence and clients and friends, etc. So it's short-sighted, right? Which I think people should understand, that if you act with honesty and integrity, you're always going to have longevity.
Yeah. Big picture thinking, right? That's very short-lived when you're not looking at it from that perspective. You know what? And it surprises me though that a lot more people aren't seeing it from that angle. You know, but it's our job to continue to spread that love and to have people see it from that side.
And honestly,
that's how they grow.
I mean, your team, we could see that with you guys. You care, you want to provide the best experience possible to the consumer. And I think that's great. And we align ourselves with that kind of mindset.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. You're definitely someone that we're really, really pumped up to just be able to leverage and use that name in rooms when we're talking to other realtors and when we're talking to the rest of the business in regards to, you know, Sam McDadi and his team are trusting us with their clients' mortgages, right? And you can see the look on people's faces when that's the case, right? And we say it in a very tasteful manner where we're very grateful and appreciative of the opportunity. But yeah, you could see it in people's faces, okay, because you guys are top dogs. You're very respected out there, and what that's done for our business, we're very appreciative of, you know. So
we're appreciative of you guys as well too.
Yeah, of course. White glove service. We bend over backwards, do whatever
That's what we love. That's what we love. It's a good extension of what we believe in. So it's great.
Awesome. And the Mississauga area, and you having such an awesome control and just taking that area on and overall. Talk about, like, is that childhood? You grew up in Mississauga. You're familiar with that market more so than others?
Yes. So I mean, I resided in Mississauga most of my life. So I thought when we were going to get into real estate, you know, all out, that, you know, obviously that'd be the right place to kind of start off. And we built, interestingly, and I share this story oftentimes, when I first started off as a first-time buyer specialist going back 35 years, and I worked with a lot of first-time buyers. I didn't even know what listings were. But doing eventually this time, you know, they referred all their friends because we provided really, really good service, just like you guys do. And eventually they were going to sell. So I had to learn how to become a listing agent, right? And most of our business was more centered around low mid-price range. And I remember about 15, 17 years ago, I said, you know what? We're very equipped now to take the high-end market as well, to have a piece of that, right?
Yeah.
We never want to abandon what's our bread and butter, but I think we're well poised to take the high end as well. And most people said there's a lot of established players. You can't penetrate that market. It's too difficult. And once again, I'm the mindset that you can't say that to me, because you tell me that you're just going to light a fire, right? And I'm going to get. So we picked it up. It's just okay. You've got me going now, right? So we picked a farm area of 22,500 houses. So all of what was the most affluent part of Mississauga. And most people said that'll never happen. Honestly, within I'd say 3 to 6 months, because I was flying it every week. I just I'm all let's go. And then, I took a listing at a bit of a loss leader just to get my sign out there. And then we staged it, because we had a lot of value added service other realtors weren't even doing. So we said, listen, we're a better person to use, because, we'll be competitive on fees. But not only that, you're going to have staging, you're going to have pre-inspections, you're going to have local, GTA, national, international marketing, all the above. And then once we got in there, within 6 months, we took the market, right? Yeah. So, and after a year, I remember driving down Mississauga Road, which is a pretty affluent street in our neighborhood, and I had every single sign. I said, we made it, we did it, right? So, but in a short transition, so I tell realtors, listen, don't tell people, don't think, that person's got that market, you can't enter that market. That's a fallacy. You can there's always room at top for other people, right? So that's why I say if we were to go to Florida, we'd replicate that. Right? It's no problem. We know. And interestingly, with Florida, when we were there once, and when I was looking at real estate, and I called a realtor, I said, "Listen, I want to see this house. When can we see it?" "Oh, it's Friday happy hour, maybe it's Monday or Tuesday." So I'm like, if they're doing business like that, we're destroyed here, because we'll be there in 5 minutes to destroy that house, right? So if that's the Florida mentality, they're not going to compete with us, right? We're gonna take that market, right? So. And so but I remember also, I spoke once to a group of 9,000 realtors.
I'm down there. There's not.
That's right. Listen, if you're doing it, you got to do it right.
Yeah.
And so that's also our mindset, right? But I was speaking to a group in Austin, Texas, with 9,000 realtors, and a lot of really good realtors. And like I said, one of my big claims to him is I'm laser focused and tunnel vision, right? So, and I was a little bit nervous speaking to this. They look like a football field, right? And these days I don't get typically too nervous talking to groups, because I've done it enough times. But for a couple minutes, I was like, oh my God, this is like, this is a big group. But I remember the night before, I went to bed really early thinking I got a big talk and I want to make sure I've got my A game. And all these other people were out till 3, 4 in the morning, right? I said, they can't compete against me. I don't care. They could be equal, better, but my work ethic will take these guys out. And I never forgot that. I said, these guys I'll always be the top, right? Yeah. It's like, but you have to believe that. It's like a fighter going to a fight. GSP, if he thought he was going to lose a fight, he should never walk in. Yeah. You got to believe that you're the best. Like, that's the mindset, right? So.
100%. Yeah, the manifestation, right? Big on the book, The Secret. All right, well, it was an absolute pleasure sitting down with you today. Like I said, very grateful that you took the time out to come on to our podcast. And I'm sure we're going to be replaying this myself lots and lots of times and watching it back. But tell all the audience where they could find you and your tag and your handle.
Sam@McDadi.com, and my direct number is 416-801-2400.
And thank you everyone for tuning in for another episode of What Would It Cost? This one was really, really fun. And Sam is someone that I look up to in the business, and that you can take so many tips and tricks from and apply them to your business, no matter what the industry, and absolutely rock and roll. Really, really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe and like, because that helps us continue this movement. And I'll see you next week.